Hi, I just wanted to make a video about outpatient hysteroscopy in the UK being done without anaesthesia and try and give a bit of a background and explanation to what's going on, because I know some are shocked when they hear that it's done without anaesthesia or analgesia, especially in places like Australia with like Gone Gas Girl. It's actually a bit more nuanced than you might think, and I definitely need to separate diagnostic from operative. They are really two, well, the principle's the same, but they have very different results and and challenges as well. I'll try and give a balanced view, but I know that's pretty much impossible. Now, for diagnostic, the average, and this is an average, it's about 25 to 30%. Some hospitals even more, 40%. Women suffer severe pain in outpatient hysteroscopy, and we classify severe pain as over a 7 out of 10 on a VAS scale. Now, some of them are shocked. People are shocked because they say without anaesthesia. It has to be said the scope sizes are a lot thinner for diagnostic. Now, this on its own doesn't cure the situation, which is why there's an issue in the UK. Women that have given birth naturally, no C-sections, are not postmenopausal, perimenopausal, very low risk patient, no endometritis, no other issues, very low patient risk with a skilled operative, and they do have to be skilled, and that's another issue in the UK. The manufacturers say, we provide training and we take training seriously. No, they don't. A survey was done where it's 25 or 30%, was it 75%, very high, didn't know that the point of entry altered with a scope with the 30-degree angle. So basically they're skewing women through the cervix because they don't know the position changes. Now, the issue is the best practice tariff. Now, this rewards them with a bonus for over 70% done through outpatient. This is theoretically possible, especially if they actually use some anaesthesia, analgesia, but because they lose money if it has to be done in theatre with a general, they are desperate not to go to theatre almost under any circumstances. Some hospitals are very good, some hospitals are disgusting. Now, this leads to them putting through women they know are not suitable, i.e. have endometritis, etc., etc. Also, as I say, for low risk patients, this can be quite acceptable. However, say someone who hasn't given birth naturally, usually find that with a local, with a cervical block, and that's allowed to soak through, that it's usually enough. Now, they don't give enough time because they don't do this for two reasons. One, if you had 100 women that didn't give birth naturally and you gave a cervical block, and 100 women that didn't give birth naturally and you didn't give a cervical block, you would actually have a higher failure rate with the local because of the vasculovagal attack. And those that didn't, there'd be a lot that had just simply scraped through, that just about tolerated it. Now, operative, that's pretty down awful. Wouldn't be so bad if it was pretty much standard to use cervical block, but it's not. Hologic are not quite as bad, but they still say, oh, you shouldn't need, they're a bit wishy-washy on this. And really, unless, as a hysteroscopy nurse told me, unless they've given birth like to had 8 babies, it's pretty much needed every time. Now, medotronic, whoa. They say only need it in 5% of the time, and they're including postmenopausal women. Everyone, only 5%. That's, manufacturers shouldn't be telling not to use analgesia, not to use anaesthesia. This is ridiculous, and this is part of the problem. This has been pushed by manufacturers. Now, there are analgesias that help, but don't completely take it away. Now, we've heard good reports of diphthic suppositories, and again a local that's allowed to soak through, but they try and have half-an-hour appointments, and this isn't often enough. It tends, and allowing it to soak through would add 15 minutes. Now, gas and air, that can be effective for some women, but not for everyone. Now, the pain results scores for operative, let's take MyoSure, which is very similar to the True Clear. The MyoSure has 19% had VAS scores over 8, and if you take 7, at least 25% should be stopped, and then another 25% find it painful, and then 50% don't. Now, we've been questioning the results with this, and the only thing we can see is that you have to tolerate a diagnostic well first. So they've already been screened. So basically, if they go for one and they fail the diagnostic, they're not classified as a failure because they failed the diagnostic, not the operative. Now, when it comes to ablation, only 9% of women don't find it painful. Most women find it painful, severely painful, horrifically painful. Also, this doing it in outpatient, they say the infection risk is very low. That's utter rubbish. It's about 3%, and that's with the vagoscopic method as well, no speculum. It's 4% with the speculum. Now, they said on this study, was done in Birmingham Hospital and one other to make up the numbers, but it's Women's Birmingham Hospital, and I've mentioned this to them, but they don't care. But 3% means that's a dirty hospital. Something's not right. I do know that they didn't wear gloves, they didn't wear proper PPE. Now, I've been told by a manufacturer probably the cause of this is because of the aerosol effect. That you have the scope and then the camera stack, and they put basically a cloth piece of paper over the camera stack. Now, when you take that paper off, you got to be very careful that you don't cross-contaminate. Well, the problem is also that scope is infected, and that isn't, but bacteria and stuff move. There's no way you can be doing hysteroscopies all day and not get stuff on the camera stack and then move it to the scope. It's just not possible. But the manufacturer seems, I won't mention this particular manufacturer, seems to think that it's to do with the sheathing's not done properly. Now, the BSGE mentioned about wiping it down. They obviously mean spraying it with something, but it's not autoclaved. But 3% is very, very high. Now, I do wonder why it is. Hopefully it's not HPV, but it's really, you don't get that infection rate in theatre. Also, they say complications a lot less. Now, again, let's separate diagnostic from operative. Diagnostic, if you separate the risk of the actual general anaesthetic, there's no increased risk. There isn't. As soon as it becomes operative, yes, that's when it becomes riskier. But an operative diagnostic, there is none. The reason they get away with this is because there's a few caveats to that. One, that's with a skilled operative, not a teaching hospital. Most of these complications under GA are because they're teaching hospitals and they're letting people have a go that shouldn't be. Secondly, they're not reporting issues with outpatient that should be, i.e. we know I've heard of stories where the woman's been made to go walk out and walk back in the other door through the A&E section, so it's not recorded as an incident, and it is an incident. Quite often they perforate the rooms and they just give them some paracetamol and literally kick them out. So this is where, because I do know I did see one gynecologist mention saying most women tolerate outpatient very well and it's okay for minor procedures. No, it's not. This is the issue. Diagnostic, reasonably okay. I say reasonably. You still need to one, give the woman informed consent. It can be risky even with low risk patients. It can still be very painful. So they should be given the choice. Should be warned, and it needs to be stopped if it's painful. And that's the biggest issue in the UK. They're not being stopped when it's painful because of money issues. Now, these minor procedures, well, this normally means, say someone's had a diagnostic and they see a polyp and they go, oh, we'll just do it while we're here. That means they then have to get out of 5mm. They then either give a cervical block and don't give it long enough, or they just try and ram it through. They then cut the polyp off. Now, they say that often isn't an inclusion. Technically, yes, but you'll find that inclusions are very common on fibroids and polyps. They're not uncommon. So can't get clear figures on this. Seems to be around 25 to 40% have some sort of inclusion that shouldn't, So minor procedures in outpatient are very risky pain-wise. Pretty much diagnostics okay, and again, I've heard of many stories where they found the hysteroscopy okay, that then found their endometrial biopsy very painful. Well, of course, that's not an issue with a GA. So it's a bit longer vid than I really hoped. I hope that helps, that when you're shocked that it's done without anaesthesia, and then another gynecologist says, oh no, there's not a problem, it's okay. They always go, you can look over there, and they're always pointing to diagnostic. They've never been honest that operative is very, very painful, and in the long run can actually cost more money by the time you put in counselling and litigation. It's small, but it's rising. So, okay, I hope that helps. Thanks. Bye.